Here we are today with the main man, Levi Roots, who I first seen on Dragon's Den a few years ago. You walked in with your guitar, you walked up the stairs, it was very unconventional. You were singing, you got some reggae sauce, and all of the Dragons were like the multi-millionaire pound investors were just looking at you thinking, what the heck is this? You came in and you wanted investment for your reggae sauce. And you've basically turned it into a massive success all over the UK. Today we're going to talk to you about your tips on success. First of all, what would you say like 3 tips on success are, Levi?
Well, I think based upon my own sort of journey, because I can only talk about my own journey. I mean, people will have different ways of explaining to people how they get from point A to point B. My mentor, Peter Jones, will have his own way of telling people how they get there. But for me, I suppose my biggest, sort of way forward was my personality, I tend to think. I really do think that's what the Dragons, the investors invested in the first place. Yeah. It wasn't the fact that I was particularly good at anything in particular.
You were genuine though, weren't you, mate?
I like to say I was good at being me. Yeah. I was good at being me, and I think if more people was to do that, is to be themselves, and perhaps to build that business plan, that branding more around their personality. Yes. Because I always do believe that it's the person that's selling the product. Yeah. If you have a good product and you come in front of me, and if you can't sell it to me, I might bypass this fantastic product, which the only fault is because you didn't present it in the right way, yeah, or you weren't trained enough to do that. So I think the personality is the first thing. So I always say, fix up yourself. It's like an old Jamaican type of patois, type of saying. Fix up your own self first before you even start to fix your business plan. So that's the first thing, it's about that self, is to get yourself ready for business and prepare that, which means, especially for young people, is speaking the right language. I had a problem with that, before I sort of met my mentor and started to change to be the business person. Yeah. The Levi Roots now as a business person is a totally different way than it was for Levi Roots, the hustler, back in the day before I made my break. Yeah. So it's about knowing how to sort of form myself, to find the best of me. That's the sort of best way I can put it. I believe now I am the best Levi Roots that I can be. And if that's my first advice, that it would be for, especially for young people who sometimes find it a little bit difficult to focus. And my second point would be, is about the business plan, but it's about that long-term planning. Again, for young people, don't like to plan anything for long-term. If you tell them to do something, plan something for 5 years, they don't want to wait around for 5 years for the money. Show me the money now. Yeah. But any real entrepreneur will tell you that to build a business, you really do have to have a long-term strategy. And you can't make a mistake by thinking the old school, thinking it's going to come overnight. The real success is going to come after you've gone through that structure of the business plan. So number 3, it's about the product. Because you got to have a good product. Because we talked about being a great salesperson and getting to the best point, the best person that you are, to be able to sell that product. Yeah. But the science is also that you've got to have a good product as well. You've got to have a product that either solves a problem, or something which is totally new, or even something that's not new, but you've put your USP, which is these sort of 3 words, 3 letters that comes up on Dragon's Den every time. Yeah. That unique selling point. That there is nothing new really, but what people do most times is just to put a spin on it, their own spin, to make it something new. So the product is really important that you get that right. So it's about the self, fixing up the self first, having a great long-term vision. We've also actually got to have a great product as well to sell.
Do you know, one of the things that I've noticed with successful people is they'll be mentored by other successful people. Yeah. What was interesting in Dragon's Den was Deborah Meaden said, this business isn't big enough for me. Duncan Bannatyne said, there's no business in this.
Yes.
And then Richard Farley and Peter Jones, they both thought differently. Yeah. So so some experts then can be wrong.
Well, for me, I never knew what Dragon's Den was. I'd never heard of the show. Nobody had ever told me anything. Absolutely. I'd never heard of Dragon's Den before. Yeah. Never. When I saw those guys, when you saw me on the telly, I was just like you. I was the first time I was experiencing what Dragon's Den was about, because I'd refused to be beaten before I got there. I had never heard about it when I got approached by one of the producers.
Yeah.
And during that sort of 3 weeks period from they asked me to do it until the time I actually did it, I refused to look it up on YouTube or to hear anything about it.
So you weren't intimidated by these multi-millionaires?
You know, I knew this thing about eyes wide shut. I was going eyes wide shut. I was confident in myself,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to be beaten before I got there. So
Yeah.
my approach towards the Dragons was a little bit different. I never knew that I could pitch towards Peter Jones, for instance,
Yeah.
because it was a source and Peter has great friends in that sort of source. I didn't know the capabilities of Deborah, so that I could have pitched to her perhaps or
Yeah.
whatever. I went pitching to the television. I pitched to 7-8 million people that watch Dragons Den. I wasn't concentrating that these
them
5
four.
white millionaire guys in
right.
front of me were the. I thought this was like an audience.
Yeah.
Because whenever time you call Levi Roots before and I've got a guitar around my waist,
Yeah.
I'm performing
Yeah.
to 500, sometimes 5,000 people. So I put my mind in that same frame of mind that I've got my guitar, I'm on a stage, someone says, Levi Roots, it's your time to perform. So I performed. So I didn't really know to pitch to any particular dragon. I just pitched to the world that was watching the TV.
Because you went in and you only basically asked for 50 grand, which isn't, in their scale of things, isn't much, and you've turned it into...
£25,000 to someone like Peter Jones or Richard Farley, which is what they invested each, is
Yeah.
like a lunch break to them.
Yeah.
They spend that pretty much in their sleep.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, watching Dragons Den afterwards, one of the worst things that any investor, not even these dragons in particular, is when someone overvalues a company. We've seen that time and time again on the show, that how it gets up the dragon's back when you overvalue the company.
I've seen the guy saying this is worth...
Yeah, so I think because they either saw that, you know, this guy's a bloody fool, he should want more money, or they're thinking that actually, yeah, he's right, he's not, the business is not up and running yet. It's not about the sauce, this is about the man himself.
Yeah.
So the price was perhaps right.
How important is it for people to take risks?
I always say that there is no such thing as mistakes.
Yeah.
I've actually changed it to feedback, because I'm saying that you can't get things right without making mistakes first. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, you know, and especially again to young people, if you put them off of trying things, they'll never get to know anything. It's like when you're a child, you've got to break bones, you've got to get scratches, you've got to be able to grow into a man or a young girl. You know, you've got to go through those bumps. And it's the same thing within business. You've got to go through that process of making mistakes, learning from it, knowing that I'm not going to go there again because I actually know what happens when I've been there before. So you tend to take a different approach. So I think we should encourage people to try things, because that's what the entrepreneur is about. The entrepreneur
taking the risks.
He takes the risk, you know, but not just any old risk. He'll take a calculated risk. He'll always do that. He'll always weigh it up in his mind and see the difference between losing and the difference between winning of that, and then he'll go in and he makes the kill. But he's never afraid to go in. He's daring, man. You know, he'll be there in for the kill at all times.
Just go for it, basically. Then, what's the biggest enemy of what's the biggest enemy of success, would you say, or achievement?
Burning yourself out.
Yeah.
I think the entrepreneur is relentless in his business. It is always seen as a lone wolf type of fellow or young lady. You know that just constantly is on it all the time. Nothing wrong with that, but it does tend to take your life over. Your family suffers, your wife suffers, your kids suffers, because you are relentless in trying to achieve the next goal. And once you get to the next goal, obviously the next one is either maintaining that or reaching to the next level. So it's never ending. And for me, I've never worked so hard or been so busy in all my life until I've become a success. But it is something that I enjoy, because again, that's the entrepreneur. Especially when you choose something that you're passionate about. If your business is something that you can call your livelihood, you know, which is your passion, it makes you money as your work as well, and you never get fed up of being involved in it. A bit like mine's music and food. So it is a relentless.
But you love it.
I love it, but burning myself, I worry about it a lot, you know, because I'm always at work. Always around.
Can you be like a very successful entrepreneur and be happy and get the whole balance right? Do you know what I mean? Because as you were saying there, some people are just, I need the next 5 million and the next 5 million and
No, I believe that. I think I'm lucky in that respect because I've done that. You know, I'm involved in music and food. The two things that I love more than it's only my children and my family that I love more than sitting in my house, picking up my guitar and there, having a church, writing a song or doing something. Or in my kitchen, I got a load of ingredients in there, and I'm just like, I wash with stuff, and I want to do some cooking, and I'm in heaven. That's my business, and that's what I do. I never get fed up of it. I never see it as work. I never see it as chore. So if you can have your business with something like that, then it's a perfect chemistry to do that, you know, because it's wonderful.
And it's quite magical now because you're in this position. I was talking to the lovely Lucy, your PA, earlier, and you've been with Jules Holland yesterday, was
yes,
it?
I was, and it's all fantastic because
all these doors, boom, boom, boom. It's amazing, isn't it, mate?
You know, but it's all about the hard work that you put in because I always explain it's a bit like the duck on the water, you know. Yeah. The duck looks nice and smooth along the water, you know, no ripples, and he's moving along nicely. Well, if you take a look underneath his feet, it's ugly. He's splashed away and
there's
it's all sorts of mess going on underneath there. And that is the entrepreneur. You know, you'll see him or her, you know, looking very smoothly. But here, or the team round the back, because we talked about him or her being that sort of lone wolf thing. It's about me. But really, it is about a team. Yeah. And usually, the legs that's flapping away is the team that's working to make sure that the business runs. And I'm so lucky that we are a licensing brand. We have over 50 products on the brand now. But my only employee is lovely Lucy, as you call her.
Lovely Lucy, where is she? Lovely Lucy, she's over there.
And that's how the brand function, you know, because the brand is the Levi Roots brand. Yeah. Reggae sauce is one sauce in a range of
Here it is, the reggae sauce. It's fantastic, mate. The other thing about it is, because I'm just very honest, as people that know me will know, it's just cool. It is just the bottle, the branding, this whole Caribbean smokehouse you got here in London. The whole thing it's just really cool. Can anybody be successful?
Wow. I personally think so.
Yeah.
Because I don't think business belongs to anybody. No one owns business, so anyone can go and take a piece of it. But you have to get those things, like those first three things that we talked about, in place first. You know, if you don't have a product, you don't have a long-term business plan, and if you're not ready, then I'm afraid then it's not for you. Yeah. But if you can get those three things in place, then business is for anyone. I think we can. If I can do it, I think anyone.
Yeah, I've seen you, mate. I've seen you messing up your figures with
Absolutely.
Levi Roots, thank you very much for your time. Also, you've got books out as well.
Yeah.
How many books you got now?
Well, we wrote a book a year since Dragon's Den, so we've been out the den now 9 years. So we have 8 cookery books. That we've done just to chronicle Caribbean food, and everything that we serve in the restaurant here is actually in the books. So it's really about showing people how to cook with the books. They can do it at home. Yeah. But if they get a bit fed up of that, they can always come here and we do the same thing here for them as well.
I've been reading one of your books and it was, where is it? But it's basically about your tips for success. And
you can get it if you really want.
If you really want, that is an amazing book. Yeah. Also, you've got CDs out, stuff like that.
Yeah, I really wanted to get back to the music, you know, because I'd been singing the reggae sauce song for a long time, you know, frankly I got quite sick and tired of it for a little bit still.
Do you see people in the street, mate? You're walking along and
they say,
do they? Reggae sauce.
Yeah. So I had to go away and record a whole new album just to show people where the inspiration that music is serious, you know. I may take the food as a bit of a fun sometimes. Yeah. When it comes to my music, that is real serious stuff. So it's great that I got back in the studio to record this new album. It's called Rise Above, and it's available now for everybody. And I think it's some of the best stuff I've ever done. Yeah.
But it's not a bad, catchy thing, really, because you look at Richard Wilson from One Foot in the Grave. Yeah. I mean, every time he goes out, people must be saying, "I didn't believe it!" all the time. You must get a bit annoyed about that.
Well, you know, it's your engine, you know, it's what makes you, and you've got to be proud of it. And even though I say I don't like singing the song, but every time somebody asks me to sing it, I do sing it because that's what makes my business, you know. And it's fantastic that people are actually in tune to what you're doing personally, so it's fantastic.
Yeah. And you got a website?
We've got a website, it's www.leviroots.com.
Yeah.
We've got our Twitter handle is Levi Roots Music, at Levi Roots Music.
Yeah.
And and we're just here at the restaurant.
The restaurant, people. It's not the restaurant, it's the restaurant. Yep. Levi Roots, thank you very much for your time, mate. It's just been an absolute honour and a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
All right.
So we jam in,
Oh yeah.
so we jam in.
Well, all right. It's a jam right out there in the streets.
Your health is your wealth.
Nothing to buy, nowhere to go. Nothing. It's a jam right out there in the streets.
Come and join our jam, yeah.
Nothing to buy, nowhere to go, or nothing to eat.